Ah, perfect. Are you there? Oh. Sally, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. I can see you and hear you.
Ah, amazing. Absolutely. I don't know what happened there. We had some challenges, but we're up and running, which is amazing. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm
Sorry about that.
No. It's just the fact that I think that with this platform, you have to kind of make sure you've got the right link, and you get a handful of links, and it's a bit of a confusing thing if you've not used it. But you're all good now. We've got you, which is the main thing.
Cool. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Fine.
I'm a bit of a dinosaur with these kind of platforms and this technology, so it takes a little while to get the swing of it. But we got there eventually. We got there.
It's Mercury retrograde, apparently, if you believe in all that stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, first of all, welcome. You are guest number 1 on the Empowering Women series, so a massive warm welcome.
Thank you, and thank you, Ben. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
something that started as a little thought and a conversation has kind of turned into, it's going to be turning into something quite big, I think. So I think it's just going to be amazing, and loving the spontaneity of it all, really, as well. I think it's
evolving
great.
by the day, isn't it?
Sorry, say again.
It's evolving by the day.
Absolutely. I think this is going to build and be really big, actually. So, and also, like anyone, there are so many people watching now, but I think they're going to be hundreds, and I'm just kind of feeling even like thousands that are going to actually watch these over the course of the next 6 months, maybe in the next year. So, all time happens at the same time. Some people might pick up a word or a thought or just something that we say, or might want to see it later down the line. But I think it's the intention that we're just bringing here today to do this. And so hopefully some more people turn up. But
I think that we started with, as I said before, about throwing a stone into the ocean, isn't it, kind of thing? And the ripple, the energy of that stone being thrown in, transmutes into another kind of energy, and that carries for quite some way. So it doesn't matter if it's one person we've got with us this evening, or 20 or 100. The point is that we're starting something.
Yeah.
So what I really want to do is, first of all, give us a little bit of your history. I mean, you've told me briefly. Give us a little bit of your history and kind of how you, evolved into where you are today. What's happened along the way, and give us a little bit of a background.
Okay. Wow. And I just want to preface that by saying that everything I say, I don't want to say. I feel I've come here to inspire and motivate, and I share my journey to empower other people to do the same. So sometimes I kind of go, oh, I don't want to say stuff, but I'm going to do it just to show other women, especially on the call, that where I kind of come in my life, and I think now, and with my book that has come out, is that my whole journey has been one of inspiring, and huge amount of that time, 35 years, has been spent with children, with motivation and inspiration. I worked a lot with special needs. I even started as a child, right, kind of like teaching in Sunday school, really, and around children. So I always loved the energy of children and kind of their magic, really, and what they can bring in the moment. And I think that's kind of the energy of where I've come through to now as a coach, really, and writing the book is really about being in the moment. So my journey started even like Sunday school and things, just taking the kids, taking some kids down the road to the Sunday school. And I was always like a sponge for learning, and I kind of sense and feel that that's who you are as well. So I've always wanted to find out about things and want to know more about everything. And so I've had this inquiring mind. So I started off primary teaching, training as a scientist, with biology. But before that, I was actually very into sports. I see you are as well. And I was lucky enough to be at school. I was, let's just say, I was always loving to be in my body, especially when I was at school. And every day I go for a walk or I do something. And so I started the journey off really as well, obviously studying and doing A levels at the time, sciences and things, but really wanted to be in my body. And I was lucky that one of the England women's volleyball team members was actually at the school as my teacher. So I ended up finding myself at 5'5". I'm not that very tall, in training at 13 years old in the gym every day, and absolutely loving it. And there were some girls that were like 6 foot tall, you know, in the team. And then finding myself at 15, 16, getting picked to go and play. And I can honestly say at that time it was about intention. It was that I intended that I would do it, and that's how I kind of always grew up, even with teaching and things that I did. So at school, was just I intended that I would do stuff. So it was a huge desire to learn more. I mean, come from a background of father kind of worked out sort of 6 days a week, and my mother in the kitchen. So as a child, I probably was a bit bored, to be honest. And my mother was the 12th child, so life was kind of tough. And not for me personally, but in fact, I kind of threw myself into my books, really. I think, and I had 3 brothers, but so looking back, probably a bit of a neglected child. But my mother really didn't know any different. And you know, in those days, life was pretty tough, really. You know, there were no cars. She didn't drive. She had 4 kids, doing everything by hand. There were no fridges. You know, it was pretty Dickensian. I remember icicles on my window and stuff like that, but not knowing any different. But I felt very loved as a child. I can say that honestly from my dad. So I think, you know, that's where I was really lucky. I grew up with a household without any arguing, no complaining, that kind of stuff. So study was something that I just loved, and I just seemed to sort of suck it up like a sponge, really. So I got into the under 16 and under 20 volleyball teams, and so I was studying like all, you know, every day at school, and then going up at weekends, like traveling, and sometimes traveling away from home, and things that happened to us. And we were sometimes like 12 hours in the gym every day, and literally crying in pain. I can also feel myself going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And this just real and absolute, and I can't swear, but of a coach who at that time was like almost like whipping us all. It was just like, go on, and really ruling with a rod of iron, I would say. I mean, nowadays, if he was coaching in a squad now, he'd be kicked out, you know. So, and there was a big squad of girls that were in this squad. Must have been about 25. So to get on court as one of the 6, you had to be pretty good or pretty special, or you had to play the team. That's what I would say more than anything. I learned teamwork with this. I also, looking back now, I've just in the last few years thought about it, I kind of knew about energy. So on a volleyball court, you've got to know about who's coming up behind you, round you, sides to you. And I had a very good sense, I would say, of kind of spatial awareness, really. But we had to be part of a team. We had to all collaborate. And it was the girls that didn't actually do that who actually got kicked off. So you had to be able to read somebody and perceive things. And I would, you know, kind of stay on an energy level, on an energetic level, and, you know how to react, know how to respond, be in the moment, that kind of thing. And then learning to also come back after failure. You know, I think that's what I learned at that age, was to be in the moment every day and letting the point go behind or whatever, and to really focus with intention, and to kind of follow through with that. And that's something that it's kind of, you know, stood me in good stead through the years, really, about, you know, like letting go of the past and being in the moment, really, with that. So, but it really kind of got me in my body and got me into kind of, I don't know, moving. And so I absolutely adored it. I was lucky. I was never injured at the time or anything like that. But it ended up even like crazy. It wouldn't happen now, but ended up even, you know, bunking up with all the girls in a room and all the rest of it. None of us were sponsored. We had no money at that time. It was, you know, women in sport were not really heard of at that time.
Yeah.
So it was a shame, but it was great fun. And I travelled. I went to Holland and Germany and Scotland, and I'd be buzzing up down the country to train. So it was full on. But I loved it. And then I ended up going to teach and training to teach. And yeah, going down to Brighton, that's where I trained to teach, living on the seafront. That was brilliant.
Where did the you know the teaching spring from? Would you say? Do you think you're inspired by your teacher that introduced you to the volleyball world?
Yeah, but also sciences really. I had a great role model of a scientist, physics teacher actually. I was always kind of interested in astronomy and energy and that kind of thing really. So and biology really fascinated me, um, and I still do. I still love flowers, trees, plants, that kind of thing. So science just fascinated me really. But it was the role model, I would say, of this amazing woman physics teacher who, and you know, and various teachers in my life who said I was kind of special. But I know at that time you don't know anything any different, and you don't know. I was pretty quiet, very very quiet kind of child and girl really. Wasn't loud or in anyone's face, but
Looking
so I don't know. Yeah, I kind of,
looking back now and knowing what you know, would you say there was an element of your conditioning then from those days when you talk about the sort of love that you had in the family, but yet you were kind of overlooked maybe slightly in the family environment? Would you say that would be fair?
oh, I would absolutely say that. Yeah, yeah,
And then,
yeah.
so you had these sort of inspiring women around you when you were at the you know at school,
Yeah,
at college. So would you say that
yeah.
you were like, conditioned with that kind of thinking back?
Very interesting. Yeah, probably so. But, you know, praised a lot by these women, which I probably didn't get from my mother at the time.
Okay.
And kind of being noticed and praised, and I would say that's probably what you know what I came on and went on to do, particularly with you know with the children that I work with, and really with the coaching. That's what I do, and it is kind of yeah, seeing the positive aspects in someone and reflecting it back. That's the whole basis of what I how I kind of coach people and kind of do, almost like do healing sessions with people. But yes, very much so. So yeah, I was lucky. I mean, I could have been in a school where I had, you know, I mean, there were some grump teachers and terrible teachers and blah blah blah. But I, at the time, that had really sparked her spirit up. So I wasn't a rebel. I'm probably more rebellious now than I was then. So interesting though.
Can you highlight, you know, because I'm quite spiritual, can you highlight sparked your spirit up? What would you say, you know, does that mean like had an awakening or what do you kind of mean by that?
Okay. What do you mean in terms of like the teachers that were teaching me?
Yeah, in terms of where you were in your life, and then you say it sparked your spirit up, and you're talking about that sort of period of your life. What would you say? You know, did you kind of sort of start on a bit of a journey then, or you know, what sort of really happened?
With I mean, I think with the teaching, it was I've always had an inquiring mind, and I would maybe get bored easily too. So I think I've just always been interested in different things, and in terms of teacher, I can't really put a finger on it really. I just you know I absolutely adored school, and when I hear people that hate school, I kind of go ooh really, but I just had an inquiring mind, so I was like lapping up everyone would say to me. I wouldn't be one that would be wanting to get out of lessons and things because at the time I was very stimulated. And I was lucky when I wasn't in a grammar school. I was like 1 mark off a grammar school or something. I can remember thinking I should have got to the grammar school with the clever kids, but that knocked me for a while. And I'm also very, very conscious these days about you know belief systems and thoughts about you know just one person or one thing can
Yeah.
like shift your whole life. And I can remember being stuck in that, oh, I missed my 11 plus by 1 mark. And I remember my father going down saying, why didn't she get into the grammar school? But I got in the top stream of like a secondary school. But actually, that was really good for me. I also found out, well, kind of in adulthood, that I'm dyslexic. So there was a huge part of me knowing that I was clever, but not knowing how, you know, why I couldn't remember stuff and bring stuff up. And my life then went into also working in a support system as well with children working with dyslexia. So, you know, what I know now about education, how people learn, different ways of learning, there are about 17 different ways of learning, you know, that's always really fascinated me.
So
And
well, let's just talk about sort of teaching. So I think there's probably some parents listening tonight. You know,
sure.
17 different ways of learning, you know, coming from a teacher that's been in the profession for a long time. Do you think then that we've got to have a big overhaul of how we're doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have taught in, and I will say about 200 schools. It sounds crazy now what I did. I don't think, I think we should be teaching to learning styles. I don't think we address that at all. I want to write a book about this. I've just spoke to some parents the other day. We think reading and writing is the paramount and the one way of learning. It's not by any means at all. Very few people who are actually even teaching in education really know that. Well, I would say the system is not geared to encompass all the ways of learning. I would say that, so that the reading and writing is the main way that we the main way we measure intelligence, and it's certainly not. And you know, if you look at various books, I mean, Dan Goldman, different ways of emotional intelligence, there are different forms of intelligence. And you know, it's like, you know, there's creative intelligence, spatial intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, you know, sound, you know, there's so many ways that we can interpret intelligence, and I don't think we're a tiny bit to the part of where we can be. And you know, I met almost like little boys and girls when I was working with dyslexic pupils who couldn't read or write hardly at all. And you know, there's so many times I saw kids absolutely crying their eyes out because they knew they were clever, but they couldn't get it onto paper. I was at a time when just, I mean, about 20 years ago, I was pushing for voice activated computers for these children at the time when they, you know, they weren't around. You know, I've come in late to technology, but the technology was there, and so I really kind of pushed for this kind of thing. And actually, I will say the internet and typing, especially, and has actually helped these children because, you know, they're not being pulled up for their spelling and that kind of thing, and they can spell check. But that's a whole other story. You know, typing is actually pretty good for some of these kids. And there is voice and sound, so it's coming in far more. But we're only really scratching the surface of it. And I also grew up at a time where Mary Warnock, who brought out something called the Warnock Report, said that these children should all be put into the mainstream. And you know, there were units and there were different kind of places where children who had special needs would go. So there's a big sort of dichotomy between, you know, should these children be in a mainstream class or not, or be out of it, and the pros and, you know, the pros and cons of all that. But I actually think, you know, we've kind of failed a lot of those children who actually, a lot of them are maybe quite sensitive, who actually learn in different ways, and I think we've actually failed a lot of them by putting them back into kind of mainstream, not necessarily mainstream schools, but there are. I think the word special needs is kind of, and special education is really not understood by lots of people.
Yeah.
I think there are different ways of learning, and I think that's what we need to get as an education system, that is the different ways of learning, and one is no lesser or no greater than another. And you know, I probably need to write a book about that because I'm quite passionate about that, and who knows.
So let's talk a little bit about the evolution then. So you know, you've covered a little bit about the school and kind of your philosophies regarding that. You know, how has this journey grown, you know, to be, you know, an author? I mean, I've flipped through the book, and like you said, it's more, you know, for me, it's a fabulous reference book. Let's just put that on the screen, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Here's Sally's book. It's fabulous. It's she says here in the introduction that this isn't a book that you need to read from cover to cover. You can actually look in the index here and find what you need that specific day or that specific time in your life, and you can read that chapter. They're individual chapters, and you know, I think that this is a game changer for a lot of people. This book, the way that you put it together, I really do. I'm a passionate reader, and I've read a lot of personal development, self-help material. And I think for us to be one thing that I've always struggled with is when a book goes through a little hard spell. You know, to kind of think I've got to push through this hard spell. A lot of the time it gets put down for a week or two. It's a bit of a challenge in read. Whereas this I like because I can think today I'm feeling like I need to be looking at energy, universal laws, or love, and I can actually go and read that chapter and refresh my mind. So the way that you've put it together is fascinating. Just elaborate a little bit on that for us, please.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, I mean, 10, 15 years ago, I was looking at all the different authors. I mean, I went through a patch. My marriage ended. I don't mind saying that. I've got 2 teenage children. Well, they're adults now, but at the time they were 2 teenage children. So I kind of also went on a journey of kind of self-discovery and looking at myself, which I think a lot of people do when they go through stuff. So I don't mind saying that at all. But I always thought I would start writing, and it was with, you know, with the internet coming, and how it started was actually emailing someone my thoughts, and he actually reflected back to me, oh, you know, you need to write these down and make a book. And I was going, oh, what do I know? I don't know very much. And he went, you know, need to start writing this all down. So I started, like, the first few pages were written about 10 years ago. And I actually talked at the time about the changing paradigm, like love and fear in this paradigm that's kind of here. And even that word paradigm, I didn't really even know what it was, but that kind of word came through me. So it's taken me on a big journey, this book, and I've had some kind of experiences, spiritual or whatever. My father passed, but it felt like a calling to write it. I felt when I started it that I wasn't worthy of writing a book, and so I was in teaching, and I, you know, sorting my children out and that kind of thing. But I always knew it would come, but I never knew when. And there were various points where I thought it would be finished or I'd be doing it, and it just kind of wasn't the right time. And then suddenly, just over a year ago, June, I just thought, I've got to get, it just felt like a calling. You've got to get this out. And it was almost like because I was here on my own, living here. My kids have gone off and they're doing their own stuff. And I just thought, I've got to do this. And it was almost against my own mind, going, you know, you shouldn't be doing it. You should be out working every day. And it was like, I was almost like stopped to write the book. And that's kind of how it happened. And again, there were various points where I thought it would be finished. I also, because I am dyslexic, and I could have sat for hours and put it all together, pasted it all around my room. I would have had to have sorted it like that to shift it all into space. But I just kept writing, and it took me about 5 people to find an editor who then took all my words. She didn't change my words, but she pieced it together and into the book. And there were a few stop and starts. So there were a couple of women said, oh, I don't get it. I don't know what it's about. Oh no, it'll cost you 10,000 to make your book, and all things like that. And I was, you know, but something in me went, no, I've still got to do it. And then finding this editor at last, she said, oh God, I completely get it. And it was like, that was it. We were off. It was just great. And the journey of doing that with her was, well, I just threw the material at her basically. And she just, and she never said no or don't do this or whatever. And it was great. And she'll be my editor for life if I need her. So Julie Luthwaite is her name. I'll give her a shout out. So she's pretty private, but
amazing.
She's a great woman. So it was really lovely. But it felt a calling, and it was. And what I know now is that I do sense and feel energy. I have to, whoever I work with, or even like with you, I wouldn't have come on the call with you did I not like your energy. And, you know, it sounds a bit crazy, but and who you are and what you're doing and going forward doing. So again, with her, it was like, oh, I just completely get. It was like, bang, no, that's the woman. That's the one. That's someone I want to work with. So, and that is kind of how how the book came out. And then I self-published it. It's gone to Hay House Publishing. It went to I had a review from them, and they've kind of said it's a radical new spiritual life handbook, which I was kind of blown away really with that. I'm glad it's come out, and I've kept it, and I've self-published it at the moment. I wasn't ready to kind of go around speaking and doing loads of things at the time. I feel like there's coming for me. I feel that I'm being asked now to go and do some talking and speaking. So it's all perfect, really. You know, I think sometimes when you think, even like things don't happen at certain times, and that's maybe I talk about, you know, there's timings for everything in life, and when one door doesn't open, it's because, oh, it's not meant to happen, and you're meant to go down a different route and that kind of thing. So I'm just trusting the journey of it, and yeah, I'm really pleased now I've done it, and I'm pleased I've kind of kept it, and I'm in charge of it really at some level. So it'll go where it's meant to go, and I've given away so many books, and I've got so many more books to write, and I've loved it. I've loved that. I've loved being in that having done so much creativity with children, and then writing and done art and painting, drawing and everything. To allow myself to be creative myself has been quite a gift to me, and so yeah, I'm loving it. I want to do more. So bless you. Thank you.
Well, I think topics that you've got, some of the topics that you've got in here, I think you could do a master's in many of them, couldn't you? You know,
Oh wow!
You could go into a great depth, couldn't you? And you know, really elaborate on the points you've got. You know, a chapter here, you could actually certainly turn into a book. You've got that much value and that much content in there. It's really such a fabulous book for the first book.
Thank you. Thank you for seeing it, and thank you for seeing my vision of what it is. Because I want to make this into an online course. I probably want to record and read, but then expand on it and make it into a kind of course or something. I can see me doing workshops maybe with it, and I think it'll grow. I think it will grow, and that's my dream with it. So thank you.
I would love to be your little helper in that. You know.
Oh wow! Oh, high five!
High five. I think that it's certainly got me really intrigued to really get stuck into it and start spending time. So yeah, I'm not just saying that. I wouldn't just put my name.
No, I know that. I can feel that.
But it's very, very intriguing, and I recommend everyone on the call and the people watching on replay to get their hands on it. Again, remember who you truly are. Love Unlimited by Sally Francis.
Okay, thank you.
Another shot of the book. Okay, I want you to talk to me now, and I know that you said it's kind of a byproduct of the Sally Francis, but I want you to talk to me about when you said about energy coming through you. Yeah, and I want you to try and, if you can connect a little bit with where I'm coming from with that'd be wonderful as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just feel. I felt this was a calling to write this book, and so you know, and there are other people who talk about. You kind of had to, almost like a download, really. This book felt like a download almost to write, really. So I kind of feel. I mean, I do soul plan work with people. I do intuitive coaching. I do readings. I mostly coach, but I also do like soul plans, and I do EFT, emotional freedom technique, with people. What I feel is we all have a soul purpose. We've all come here. We basically all come here. We're all consciousness. We come here for a reason. We're spinning on a ball, near a ball of fire, going through a great big galaxy, and we all are consciousness. All right, and it's just amazing to think that we're all blooming walking miracles when we realize that gift, you know. And again, it can take a wake-up call for us to kind of really understand that. But so we all have a soul mission and a soul purpose for being here. And when you're in your soul mission and your soul purpose, things happen, and when you really trust that. So the calling part, it almost felt like the intuitive side of me. So my mind would say, go out to work, go start teaching, go and do this. But my intuitive side, and it is the softer self of me, I would say, my spiritual kind of self, my expanded self, felt that I had to write the book. So it just felt like a kind of download. And also that side of you, that intuitive part of you, can have no rational sense either. I've heard other people talk about this. But so your soul destiny, your purpose, if you really listen to who you are, at some huge, divine level, you know why you're here and what you're meant to do. And that is something that, the calling, the download, the intentional part is something that's been forgotten, I think, by a lot of people. When you're in the 9-to-5 kind of rat race run, you can lose that part of yourself. And I coach from that aspect, really. And I see people in that aspect of who they are, really, when I coach. But yeah, so the download, and that's how I kind of coach, really. I trust that part of me now. It shows up and says the right thing. I mean, it's like with us, with the call, we didn't really say what this is going to be about. We just trust that, we show up as we are. And I think that's also how, going through this next year or so, if you're really called to do something that is really for you, it is about really trusting at the moment, being authentic, but also allowing in as well. And that's another thing. I think it's about allowing yourself to be who you are, the allowing in. And it's not a pushing energy.
So can I just highlight that? Can I just stop you there? Sorry for being rude. So an element of vulnerability then?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. And yes, absolutely. I really believe, yeah. So yeah, and I've had to be really quiet to write this book. I've had to be in a space of really being on my own, and some would say quite a hermit, but that's what I have been. And so I, you know, other parts of my life went out the window while I was writing the book. But so that had to happen for me in order to do this. But it felt a call, you know, kind of calling. Yeah, being vulnerable. I believe this year going forward, and I think this is it's the call about empowering women. But I also feel it's about a call of empowering the divine feminine, which is in women and in men. It's a remembering of kindness, empathy, compassion, and vulnerability. And it takes great courage to access your vulnerability in times where, especially in the world, and especially as we're brought up in education, to be like this, do like this, have this like this, and be in these kind of robotic kind of ways of living. And I feel the feminine aspect in men as well as women is allowing that vulnerability to be shown and to be open and to be speaking with open hearts and being truthful and being honest. And I think that's part of us that we've lost particularly. And I think particularly, you know, expressing your feelings has come as a, oh, you don't do this. And I will say in my family, I grew up with 3 brothers at a time when you did not talk your feelings. And, you know, my parents both went through the war, and I suppose a lot of it was kind of suppressed, and they went through hard times. I think you can go too far the other way and become too self and too ego and blah, blah, me. You've got to be able to exist in this world. But I also feel, you know, you come here as you, and if I was to empower anyone else on the call is, you know, trust yourself, trust your intuition. We all learn things, you know, we're all brought up in belief systems, you know, like in school, we're indoctrinated to think we should be like this, we should get that grade, we should do that. And I would even say people on the call, you know, I'm not coming here boasting about what I've done in my life at the times I've did it, because, you know, we're all in different setups, we all manifest into different families, we don't really know where we're going to go, you know. So we come at life through our experiences of our, you know, our peers, our families. And you know, it's kind of about trusting ourselves really, but maybe, you know, being vulnerable to show up and be our real selves. I mean, I've been coaching so many women, and I've been on Sky TV doing a lot of empowerment calls and even like readings, and the fact even with that I was thinking, oh my goodness, you know, psychic stuff is even really wacky. But what I know about it is it's a part of all of us. We all have that intuitive side of us, and we don't always trust that side of us. So, you know, you have the mind and the ego, but you also, everybody has an intuitive, you know, psychic side. Psychic means like soul seeing, really. You know, it's part of your soul. It's in psychology. So, kind of what I do is like soul seeing, really. I see the soul of someone with all the edges taken away and open to who they are, really. And that's, I think this is what's gone out of the world, has gone out of the world in terms of, I would say patriarchy, but you know, I'm not men bashing at all at any level, but I think we've got so logical, so rational, so tick box charts in the world that we've forgotten all sense of humanness and kindness and compassion. And, you know, I really feel that's what's missing, and that's almost what the, you know, the earth and the world is crying out for again now at the moment. And so my hat's off to you tenfold to put this on, because to be a man to see this is just incredible in this time. And, you know, I'm not a feminist. I love men. I've got brilliant men friends, male friends. But I do feel, I mean, especially in education, you know, there was so much rush with the children to do this, do that, and I went into education to be really there to nurture the children. And that nurturing side of all of our societies has really gone out of the window, I think. And, you know, I think it's got to come. It's got to come back. We're as humans, you know, we're all connected. We're all here on this planet, and, you know, if we don't help each other, you know, we just won't survive. But also, the Earth will be here longer than us. At the moment, we're imploding on ourselves. We're destructing everything, I think. And, you know, the billions that was, don't want to get into politics, but the billions of money that was spent on stupid campaigns, and for what, you know, when there are people around the world dying in hunger and poverty, and, you know, out tonight in London in the cold, you know, without a roof over their heads. I mean, it's just madness. You know, it's just craziness. And, you know, there is a lot of money on the planet, and, you know, I'm not knocking anyone for having loads of money, or vice versa, but you know, there is some sense that where is the kindness gone, and you can't measure that. You know, I think that, you know, you can't always measure compassion and kindness. And, you know, a little kid at school might get no grades, no exams, no nothing, but they might be beautiful and really kind. You know, and you can't, we don't have a scale for that, do we? So it's kind of emotional intelligence, and I think this is what this world needs now more of.
I want you to try and this is fascinating, and I'm really thoroughly enjoying it. I want you to try and help the people listening with. I'm very blessed to have stumbled across my purpose.
Yeah, you know, I can feel that.
I feel connected with being on a journey.
Yeah.
And I'm attracting people like yourself and others to me that are contributing massively towards my self-education. But I kind of felt as though I fell into that. I understand now the pieces of the jigsaw that happened to allow that. But the people that are maybe like at crossroads or confused or maybe blocked, can you give anyone any advice with regards to, you know, are you someone who advocates meditation, you know, in mind clearing to try and find some answers, or, you know, what's your kind of structural strategy?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it was meditation really that brought me. I ended up doing like 10, 15 years of yoga and meditation. And teaching kids to meditate under the radar. I mean, I kind of feel energy. I kind of know where the energy is in my body, and I'll tell you, I show you digitally what I did. It was literally with my hands and with children. Just close your eyes and you just kind of focus, and you just close your eyes and you actually start feeling the energy between your hands. And actually, literally anyone can do that, and you can do that within, you know, a few minutes a day. And with that, I've just found I just connected up, and I connected up to my kind of soul self at some level. And I'm not all spiritual sitting on the mountain smoking, you know, blah blah. And you know, I actually saw that when I did that with children, they centered themselves, and kids that were off the wall, really hyper, would just absolutely calm down. So I think if you can get your brain, and there's a lot of talk about you getting your brain into a much lower frequency. Yeah. So you've got alpha, theta, and delta, you know, so it's kind of slowing your brain down to almost like to be able to listen to yourself enough, really, and kind of know what's yours and knows what other people's is. I'm very much a sensitive and an empath, so I, you know, kind of pick up on energies of people, really. So for anyone else so that's one thing. If you feel energy, or you know, you could just center yourself quite quickly with that practice. Anything, you know, walking, running, anything you can, you know, you don't have to sit for hours and meditate, but even if you just spend 5 minutes with yourself a day or 10 minutes. Something else I just tell clients is, you know, just to write your name in the middle of a piece of paper, and even, you know, think about the things that you want to bring into your life, or go back to childhood if you're stuck, and think about what makes your spirit kind of spark up, and what you like doing, and go towards that, and, you know, more each day. And like gratitude as well. I mean, it's a bit, you know, a lot of people are saying about gratitude, but it certainly works. But also not if you're in a hard time at the moment, not denying that experience and not denying that emotion. There's no one on the planet that doesn't go through difficult feelings. There's no one on the planet that doesn't say, oh, to themselves days, oh, I messed up with that, oh, that was awful, that was it, you know. So it's like listening to your own self-talk as well. But if you are in a hard space and you're listening, so go into those feelings, express them, write them down, you know, honor yourself, and you know, choose to witness them, but also then, you know, choose to witness the other part of you, that the things that make you feel empowered and that you enjoy doing, really. Yeah, I mean, I meet a lot of people, and I work with a lot of people.
I think that I picked up maybe 18 months ago now, and I thought it was really good advice, and that was following the path of highest excitement.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I love that.
What actually makes you, you know, like you said, what turns you on in terms of your brain and your spirit, and
yeah.
You had an option of 6 things to do. Choose the one that excites you the most.
Absolutely, follow your passion. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to then turn into this nuclear reactor of energy, you know, that is drawing from the ether or from the universe and following your purpose, and that. And I took that on, and I thought, everywhere that I've got an option, we often have to do things we don't like.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When we get an option of doing something we don't like or something that we prefer, then follow the one of preference, and your life takes on a different path.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And that's, just me with the call here. I just thought I'm really excited to come and do this with you. And, that's what I want to do more of. I love alchemy of conversations with people, and you never really know what's going to happen, from it either. But yeah, like exercise being in that for me, singing. I've actually recorded some songs. I like music. I go into if I get a dull day, I'm out walking, or I'm out, I'd love to, I mean, your video of you on the gym, I was great. It was so good. So now, get into your body, start singing, if I take myself out of myself by going, where I live is actually in a little community. Well, it's not a community, but the road where I live is all full of creatives and really mad people who are just gorgeous. And I just go in all the shops and say hello to everyone every day, and just, I don't know, I spread joy a bit with there, and they talk to me. I love that. And I've got some great friends here now. So, you find every day how you can do that. But also serving, I will say. I mean, again, when I was in my deepest time, really, I went and connected with some people who were building an orphanage in Nepal. And I was fundraising. I was in Battersea Park every weekend, and we were out, got everyone up dancing, and I was around shaking the bucket, and I just met a load of people who I'd never met before, and it was just amazing, and it empowered me to see that, and I was thinking, oh my God, those kids they're out in the cold, they don't even have anywhere to live tonight. What am I moaning about? And my father used to say, and it's very true, is there's always someone worse off than you.
Yeah.
So if you're in a down point, focus on service. Even if you've got no money in the bank, no nothing, go out and cheer up 3 people today. Go and say something that will make an old lady smile, or I don't know, go and carry a bag, or just go and pay for someone's cup of tea. Do something that empowers you back to know that you've got a purpose. It's about a purpose. If you can wake up with a purpose in life, and if you can find a purpose, it doesn't matter what the purpose is. There used to be a parking ticket attendant that I used to drive out from where I used to live, and he used to be the most amazing, like, sunbeam. Hello, and how are you today? And I'm sitting in a little square box every day, just taking the money from the tickets, and he was literally like an angel and a god, and I used to really look forward to seeing him. And he must have touched so many people every day with his kindness and his smile, and so you don't have to be that wealthy. You can find a purpose in anything. I think, and I think if you find that, then you're blessed, really.
Talk to me, give me some of your wisdom for people from a broad spectrum this year. What do you, how do you feel energy wise about what's ahead? What 2017 has got in store for people? What do you see, in many different aspects, globally, spiritually? What do you think that we're looking at?
Wow. Well, I think this is a year. I mean, again, numerologically, if you look at astrology and numerology, this is a 1 year. So this is a year really about taking your power. And as I've kind of said to you before, I think it's about being authentic. I think it's about taking courage to be yourself. It's very much a year. I think last year was a year about kind of endings of stuff. I took loads of calls, people, a lot of clearing, a lot of like tying up ends, but also people didn't really know kind of who they were and what they were doing. This year, I feel, is coming through with much more kind of energy of creation. I'd say kind of allowing, but also pushing yourself to do. If you've hesitated in the last few years about something that you wanted to do, I think this is a year to kind of go for it, really. And I don't mean go for it and you push everybody out of the way at all, but I go for it with humility and with intention, but focus as well, really, I think. And I think this is a year of big starts for people. Very, very much kind of starts of maybe new things this year. It really feels like that to me. And I've done a lot of kind of relationship calls with people. People who have put up with things for like 10 years with other people, they've had enough now. They want to start out fresh. There's a lot of energy of that at the moment. I think it's a year more women are kind of come out and start speaking up. And I mean, globally, well, it's just, I don't really know how to describe it, really. I'm just, you can take it all seriously or you're not. I mean, I don't think we can fight the old with a lot of the old stuff. I think it's about creating and building the new with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of communities are going to form. I think a lot of intelligent people are going to get together. I feel there's a lot of communities that, I mean, I know sort of quite a few global kind of leaders and various things, not who are in political things at all, but who are kind of building communities of people. And I think generally around there are huge, you know, thousands and millions of people that want peace, that want, you know, quiet lives, that they want to collaborate together, that they want everyone around them to be living, you know, in a good way. And we are fed so much that's the media that, again, don't want to get too into all that, but, you know, believe what you want to believe, you know, at some level, and focus on what you can bring to the world rather than maybe rather than bashing anybody else. I think it's about building, you know, who you are, what you want to do, and communities going forward. So yeah, I think there's been a lot of scrambling, and I don't know, last year I literally put a Facebook post out and thought people would kind of implode on themselves in the British government, and that's exactly what happened. So, you know, you put out a load of rubbish and shit, it's going to come back at you at some level. You know, you put out kindness and love and things, and that's going to come back at you. And, you know, that's kind of spiritual laws, really. So that's, you know, I think it's about receiving and allowing, but also asking for help as well this year, for, you know, lining up with people that can help different people, and not being afraid to ask as well.
I think it's, you know, being humble enough for us all to know that we don't know everything, do we? And we have a, you know, it's a lifelong journey of learning.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
oh, absolutely.
Serving.
Yeah, it's a whole, I mean, every single day is an experience and a learning and a journey, and there also is no end. I think, you know, the ego and the mind is always chasing something, the next dream and the next thing. I also think it's about being present where you are, and looking around and going, you know, actually I've achieved, or I've got this much, and I'm really happy where I am. So it's very much about not always chasing everything, you know, being present, really. And when you're present, you actually have you're of the energy to allow things in and to come to you, I think, when you can sit and stand still. You know, otherwise you're just running forever on a treadmill, really, I think.
Okay, give us, just to finish us off, give us a couple of your, you know, from your, because I mean, you've had this very colourful life journey so far, you know, with many different experiences, and you've gained so much wisdom. And I'm proud to call you a friend and a mentor. You know, give us some tips, a couple of your tips, if you say to people, you know, that can be really transformational in life. You know, if you could say to someone, these are a couple of things to follow, what would you advise?
To trust yourself. I think I wrote a few notes down. To trust yourself. That you are unique. You're not like anybody else. You're not going to have the opinions, the beliefs, or anything of anybody else. You might take on other people's opinions and beliefs, but unique in you is a belief system, is a journey and a story, and, you know, about you. You are enough. Something that's come to me really this year is knowing the statement, I am enough. So again, if anyone is struggling with earning money, going out, their self-esteem, if you, someone actually said, if you actually lipstick that on your mirror and you see that every day, that will go into your subconscious at some level. I mean, your subconscious, I'm sure you know, but it's kind of formed from like 0 to 8. So the early years at school, your beliefs and your habits and your feelings about that are often unconscious. So to retrain you, if you need it, you know, I am enough, I am worthy, and I trust myself. And I think very much, if you've been parented and told what to do a lot in your lifetime, you might not have that kind of guidance to listen and to trust yourself. And I think this is the problem with like over parenting. I think there are a lot of, I mean, my mum was one of 12. She's very okay in her own energy. I don't think she was told to do what to do, you know, all her life. I see it very much. You see the two polarities now. Parents telling their children to do it like this, do it like me, and the ones that are let to roam free. I mean, there is a balance with boundaries, but so learning to trust yourself, you know, being worthy of who you are, your journey, your story, knowing that you're not going to please everybody. you know, you have a right to self-love also, I would say. I'm probably learning that one this year, really. I can learn to say no. You know, learning to have boundaries, learning to love and self-care, you know, look after yourself, food and health, hydrating, that kind of thing, especially. You know, and if you're a people pleaser, and I'm sure there are lots of women out there who are listening to this, you know, if you're a people pleaser and you've learnt that you have to always give to receive praise, you know, you can say no, and you don't have to be like that. And also, you can change a habit or a belief or something in a you know, click of a finger if you choose to. The people around you might not always like who you become or who you change to be. So we often, if we're in groups of families, tribes, or friends and things, people often as groups, you know, want to fit into the status quo. So, you know, ask yourself, if you're struggling, is it because you're trying to please other people or be in a tribe or do it like other people? Or are you really listening to yourself? And I think if you are in a difficult place now, you know, to be in a space of absolutely listening to yourself and go with your feelings, honor your feelings, honor who you are, that can be very powerful, can be quite cathartic to. But as I say before, we are brought up not to feel feelings in a lot of this culture, and I don't think that's the right way. I think we need to be feeling who we are, very much, and then also be guided, and also don't compare yourself to others. There is no right way. There is no wrong way. There is no perfection either, I would say.
I've got so many notes here.
I'm setting homework essays tonight. No, I'm joking.
It's yeah, I've got some homework.
I'm phoning you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it. Test me.
No, I'm joking. I don't know. Anyway.
I know.
And the one thing is, don't take things personally. I think if I'd learnt that, oh, you know, it can take one person to say something to burst your bubble, and you could hold on to that for years, you know. And if I'd learnt that when I was 16, 20, my God, you know, and that can work with family, friends, anybody. Don't take it personally.
Fantastic. What I'd like you to do now, just while we wrap up a couple of minutes, is talk to the listeners. Sally has got her own website, so just talk to us about the website. Mention the book. We can mention the book again, but just talk to us about obviously what you do. If people have resonated with you and want to connect with you, how can they go about that? Okay.
My book is called Remember Who You Truly Are, and it's available on Amazon. It's also available for me if anybody wants one. You can find me. I'm at sallyjfrancis.com. I'll put the link up now. Actually, I can type in sallyjfrancis.com. I think I've done it. That's it. I don't know whether you can see it. Yeah, I put it at the top. And my book is called, perhaps I'll type it in a bit. Remember Who You Truly Are. Sorry, it's kind of capitals, but there we go. I mean, and yeah, so yeah, that's my website's not great. It's not perfect. I know it's going to be updated quite soon. But yes, people can find me if they want to find me. I do, you know, intuitive sessions, really. Again, even that part, that intuitive side of me, I've learned to trust it now. It was part of me when someone, oh, she's psychic. I don't think it's anything to be afraid of. I think it's a part of all of us. So when I kind of coach and do people, I come from that space, really. And I've just learned to listen, really listen, and to hold the space for people. And I've heard it all, probably. I was about to say I've done it all. I'm not sure I've done it all, but, you know, I've been through tough times. You know, there is no perfect person, so I'm around. I'm available if anyone wants to have a call with me. Yeah, I'm even going on Sky TV. That was all a bit mad and crazy, but you know, it's a journey, and I think we're all here to help each other. And so yeah, I hope to do a lot more and more webinars, more kind of things with people this year. If anybody wants to connect with me, and bless you.
I'm blown away. I really am, you know, to connect with you. I think there's some great comments here. I've just read a few of the comments from the chat about the book, and you know, there's a lady called Sarah that's found her purpose and she's really excited, and people agreeing with what you're saying tonight. So, you know, if anyone's got any comments or a couple of questions, maybe just to finish us off, and then we'll we'll wrap it up. We'll just give it a couple of minutes just to give you chance to type it in, but it's been a fantastic conversation. There's 6 more of these. One exciting thing that Sally and I would like to announce tonight is that we are in the early throes of arranging 2 events for people, both male and female, not just women, but it's going to be based around the 7 empowering women that I've connected with. And one's going to be in the UK, and one of these is going to be Europe. So we're going to do the series, these 7 online episodes. And when we finish these, then we're going to look to promote the fact that we are in an awakening, and we're really wanting to spread the kind of messages that we spread tonight. So that you're going to look out for those, and we're going to have a couple of venues where the 7 ladies and myself are going to try and spread some more of what we've been doing. This is just a taster tonight, but we're going to look at maybe having a weekend event where we can go a little bit more into depth and create some breakthroughs and, you know, self-actualization, and let people be their true authentic selves. So if there's no comments, let me have a look. No, there's no questions coming up. So Sally, I want to just outstretch my arms and say thank you very much for virtual cuddle.
Thank you.
One second. What a great webinar. I really enjoyed. Appreciate connecting with both Ben and Sally through Facebook Live. Okay, Liz, yeah, that's really nice of you, and we like having you part of the community as well. So if you want to connect with Sally, you know where to do that on Facebook, Sally Francis, and myself, Ben Colley. Thank you very much for joining us on this first episode, and I look forward to speaking to you next week on episode 2. Good night.
Thank you so much, Ben. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I think you should put the link to find you as well, wherever people want to find you as well.
Yeah, mine is facebook.com/Ben Colley Mentor. Very, very easy to find. But also you'll find me if you type into YouTube and you search Ben Colley, you'll be able to find this link, and then you can share this. It will be a public link with friends, relatives, anyone that you feel may need the information. There's going to be the 7 women have all got very, very different background stories and skills. So I would recommend that even if you can't log in live, that you log in at least to the replays that will be on my YouTube channel, so that you can get a very broad spectrum of different ladies with different skills. Thank you very much, guys. Good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.